Hey everybody, Moron Abound here. Just wanted to talk about the Highlander changes. I actually reached out to Fiend of Ondar, who is another OG Highlander main, to talk about the changes. He's been playing the character for as long, if not longer, than I have. The dude has Rep 70 Highlander on multiple platforms, so I'm going to put it squarely on the he has played the character more than I have. But anyway, we got together, sat down, and recorded for nearly an hour just talking about the changes and just shooting the shit about other games too. I'm going to try and cut it down concisely, but anyway, here's that recording. We forgot to record an intro, so I hope this will do. Like, I woke up in like a stupor with people like pinging me, like, you gotta see this. They're reworking Highlander. I'm like, this is like an out-of-season April Fool's joke. I didn't believe.
I actually think it's good, and
Yeah.
I feel bad if I did get, I think some people took my community post in a way that was like, that I was negative about the changes.
Yeah.
I'm not negative about the changes. I just wanted to explain why I wasn't probably going to be making more content on the changes than I am.
Right.
Like, I'll definitely make some videos, I'll be around. There's no way I won't be around. But I just... I think the nature of it is it's really great that some of these changes are happening in the game that have been needed for so long for heroes. However, we are on, what is it, year 6?
It's going to be year 7.
And so, going to be year 7. And so, just learning a new iteration of everything once again is kind of a lot sometimes.
I agree, but I was actually firmly impressed by because they went into it by saying like, hey, we wanted to, we were listening to the community when they're they were bitching about Highlander for 5 years, more about, but yeah, like I literally everybody that plays this hero has been saying the same shit for years at this point, and what I really appreciated was them coming in and saying like, hey, we know everybody that plays Highlander.
It was almost one of the first things they said, which I thought was valuable.
Yeah, and
I was like, ooh, if I was streaming this, I'd point this out. But the first thing they said was, if you've played Highlander before, you can play Highlander now.
Yeah.
And that...
And also that they were like, we didn't want to remove things because people enjoy how Highlander plays. They didn't want to like remove identity from it, which I think is really important. With a lot of these reworks, sometimes they like go away from the quote-unquote identity of the character.
I feel like we've had good ones, we've had
definitely
not as good ones, but generally I've been pretty pleased with most reworks. But I would say that, I thought, I've said a million times that no matter what they do, I'll hate it, because it's not, that was just kind of a joke. I didn't mean that, but I was just making a point that's like, the amount of time I've put into this hero, any change at all is gonna be like a rough thing.
It's gonna be a little bit. It's gonna take a bit to get used to, I think.
Being as positive on this initially is shocking to me.
I went into it extremely nervous because I was like, yeah, let's rewind the clock 4 years to the beginning of year 2. That season 5 big change where Valk got a buff, Highlander got a buff, Kensei got a buff. I feel old, but what they did with Valkyrie was they removed literally every interesting aspect of her kit and then kept her like that for 3 more years until they reworked her again, and she's felt awful until they reworked her recently. But yeah, my concern going in is they were gonna fundamentally change how offensive stance worked, and I didn't want them to do that, and I'm really glad to see that they really didn't do that.
I didn't. It seems like they're at least somewhat aware of like kind of the general Highlander community's feelings on the matter as it goes, which is a silly thing to say, but like I really do think that Highlander has maybe a bigger or a more dedicated, I should say, following than many heroes.
I completely agree.
Not to say above and beyond all, but I have people who have been watching and commenting on every single Highlander specific video because it's Highlander, because they love the hero, and things like our community montages and some of the other Highlander focused stuff we do. It works because people just love this hero, because you can put, many have put 70 reps in multiple times over with multiple accounts, and yet are still progressing and getting continuously better with, and not just better at the game in general, but better with the hero and like the understanding of the minutia of his kit, which theoretically none of that is going away.
There's one change in offensive stance that I like. I absolutely lost my shit when I saw. the offensive stance dodge caber toss.
Which is
Guys, I'm gonna be real. This is busted. I don't even have to play this shit. This is fucking busted. There's no way it's making it. There's no way this shit is making it into a final build. There's no fucking way, dude. This is broken. This is fucking stupid. Caber toss is a fucking gank move. This is broken as shit, bro.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit silly.
If we go over all of them, like I think there's a lot of cool stuff. That is one that I'm like interesting.
I think that's a bit silly.
I don't know that I totally get it, but I will say so. Like the caber toss being faster addresses the whole. I mean, that's really the main issue with caber toss. You're like, okay, there's a million moves in this game that can put someone on the ground for some team damage, and none of them really take as long with as little benefit as caber toss. And so speeding that up, I think, is a positive thing, but putting it on dodge, I'll definitely miss like weaving in and out of attacks and then getting a kick. Now it's like weaving in and out of attacks and then getting a caber toss.
Yeah, I didn't see the need for it. I mean, kick is basically his dodge attack and offensive stance. So, in my opinion, it's not needed.
I didn't see the reason to change it and make his offensive stance dodge attack. That or just dodge into offensive light. But either way, like I didn't think they needed to make that, a CC move that throws your, opponent on the ground. Like, that might be a bit far, but
it's a bit weird, but
it's not going to really matter. It's not like you couldn't dodge and then caber toss regardless.
Anyway, I think let's go through the changes like top to bottom if we can, like starting with defensive stance.
Sure.
I think it's really stupid they removed the hyper armor on the chain light. It is now a 500 ms chain light with no properties, and I think that's a bit egregious.
You could arguably say if they haven't changed it, which it's hard to say until we get into test stuff, like will there be undocumented changes?
Yeah, that's the thing. If it's not enhanced, if it's not an enhanced light now, it is.
Well, so enhanced is one thing, and the other like little secret property it has that probably doesn't matter that much, but it's a Highlander thing, is that it has medium hits done.
That's right.
So you can flow into a kick from, if you confirm that second light, you can get a kick that cannot be interrupted by your opponent's light. Whereas if you do the first light and go into a kick, you can get interrupted out of that. So that's a really minor thing. I don't think most people are going to be like, oh no, but if that was gone as well, that would be a pretty underwhelming chain light.
I do think that, like,
right now it's a little busted. It's arguably one of the best chain lights in the game.
And
so changing it in some way, I think, is pretty reasonable.
I think there's nothing wrong with it, and like, let me defend my point here, because like the reasons that they cited for its removal were not all the reasons that it's strong. The reason they removed it, per the Warriors Den, was because people were complaining about spam, and that's the wrong. That's the wrong reason to remove something, regardless of their internal reason. Like, I would much rather they came out and say, like, the nitty, which they have no problem doing for the rest of the Warriors Den, where they explain why they made a change. But for this specifically, they said, we removed it because people just mashed the button. And I find that a very underwhelming explanation, and I just don't want to cater to Reddit, especially with my fucking beloved Highlander. I do not want to cater to the people that are whining about light spam, because just parry it. I'm gonna be completely honest. And if you're gonna trade anyway, you go to the heavy. So you do the light on a read to get into offensive stance to kick. Like that's what most higher level Highlanders do.
Yeah, you can use it to trade. Yeah, you're gonna trade, and so even if you lose the trade, though, you may come out ahead.
Yeah, because of the kick.
Offensive damage in or whatever else. But one thing I will make a little bit of not that I disagree with what you're saying, because I think at most levels that's very true. And especially they made it known, hey, this is not about relatively high level play that we're talking about here. This is overall health, which it's fair to admit, for a lot of folks with less time in the game, you can still or even system requirements and things that make reacting to lights, especially with hyper armor and other things, really difficult. And so I will say that although it's definitely counterable and reasonable at a certain level, doing things, if you're going to be buffing him in other ways, in so many ways, which they are.
Right.
There plenty of things that are going to be vastly more powerful. Doing something like this that will improve the experience of the average player while still, maybe controlling how overpowered Highlander could be if they weren't making some of these, little nerf changes. Like another one is damage, right? We'll talk about that in a minute. But some of these things, if you didn't change, may not affect high-level play that much. Highlander may have been able to keep his damage as it was, and at a high level, it's not going to really make a difference if he's not, if he doesn't end up being A tier or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, at medium and lower levels of play, I think that's probably going to be an appreciated change. And I know that a lot of folks, if you're on YouTube in the comments and you're looking at our videos, you'll get a lot of folks that are like, oh, well, Highlander's already broken as fuck, so what are they doing? Highlander's the most broken hero in the game, which I get is sort of a meme because most high-level players, that's not the case. But that being said, there is definitely a dichotomy in the experience between different players.
100%. Highlander has always been a noob stomper, so I completely...
And noob stompers, it is a shitty experience, and I'm totally willing to acknowledge that. That was a really long, drawn-out way.
No, I think
noob stompers are not fun for new players, and if it doesn't need to be that way, I can respect changes.
Yeah, I think your verbose explanation was needed. You explained your point very well. So yeah, I see it from both sides. Like I feel like it was an unnecessary change, but now I do understand why now coming from
in my lobbies, it got parried like 3 out of 5 times. I pretty much couldn't use it the vast majority of the time.
It always gets parried unless you make it.
That is because in other lobbies it works very well, and still a lot of Highlanders used it. So.
Yeah, but anyway, it's gonna be. We'll see. Like if they just forgot to mention like. Alex, like, again, if that's the trade-off that I have to have for this to be in the live game, I'll take it. Like,
totally. Yeah,
I'll take it as a package.
Of all the casualties we had, this is one that I guess I can accept.
Yeah, they could have like done something really stupid and just removed something from the kit entirely, which I would have had a fit about.
I can't really think of anything that's been just totally axed. I mean, let's talk about a couple of the main points, right? So one being, I'll just go into some positives, right?
Right.
General health thing, backstep light option select.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, when I first started streaming to react to it, like I commented on it, I paused their stream and I was like, okay, guys, hear me out. This is good.
Right.
Like it's like backstep lighting. As fun as it is to do, it's not fun to get backstep lighted at all. There's something to be said from removing it from Highlander. I think BP can still do it, so they need to touch him up as well. But
Afira can do it.
Yeah, Afira can do it. But that's a separate argument.
But at least they know about it.
Yeah.
I mean, and obviously they have for a long time.
And
it's a good change.
You don't really need to do it anymore because this is probably, I think, the low-key best change they made. Faint recovery flow into OF. Like, what the... Holy shit, that's huge.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
In my head around, honestly.
That's huge. Like, that... And in year 1, I think it was called the Hound of Terror parry, where he would flow out and there was there's no animation between him flowing out and parrying, so it was just like bam, and like that shit is going to be more common now, or going to be easier to do now, I think, because you can flow an OF out and then back in, like it's gonna
can. So that's one of those things that I don't think, even if which I don't know to what extent they are or are not aware of the whole, community tech situation surrounding exiting offensive stance without delay and without stamina cost and the other things that can be done. I don't know. I'm guessing they probably know about it, and I don't know whether they will or won't have done anything, but I wouldn't have expected them to talk about it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I think we will just have to get our hands on it. Since they didn't mention it, I'm kind of optimistic, and I'm like, okay, maybe there still is a small delay, and maybe the tech still does something. maybe, I know they reduced the stamina cost, so the tech.
Yeah, that's another thing where
stamina cost is not anywhere near as important, but maybe it still exists.
Yeah.
And that's not super important, but for me, that will just be a fun thing because I spent hundreds of hours perfecting very tip of the iceberg minor tech that does a very small thing in the grand scheme of the game. And so I'll be happy if that's still there.
Sometimes I still do the offensive stance option select out of muscle memory.
That's another one. So that brings up a point I wanted to mention a second ago, which is that removing things that are unhealthy and broken, like option selects, right? The offensive stance option select is an infamous example. A lot of people
it was busted. Yeah.
But, I mean, it was truly so busted. So you had a hero that wasn't really that great with one move that made them unbeatable.
Yeah.
And it created a situation where they couldn't realistically buff Highlander because then Highlanders in ranked duel that were using the offensive stance option select and just ranking in wins would have an even easier time, and it would be even more unbalanced and more people would get salty about it. So they couldn't buff the hero, but it took a little bit to actually implement whatever changes needed to be done to fix it. And so doing things like removing backstab CC option select means that some of these other buffs that are really powerful can land without creating a broken hero.
Yeah, 100%. I think that I'm just excited to play around with it. Like this is the first time I've been actually pumped to play For Honor in years. And it's just a lot of the stuff they showed off is really exciting. I mean, it's like a no-brainer. It's like, why didn't I think of that? Out of my hundreds of hours of complaining about how bad Highlander is, why haven't I ever thought about why maybe he should be able to feint in fast flow into offensive stance? Like that's just.
Yeah, I don't think I ever thought of that one either. Yeah. It's one of those things. I had some ideas that I think would have worked. They didn't really do any of them, but what they did seems to have worked pretty well. I had some zone ideas that were very different from what we got. But
I like the zone changes.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, let's talk about Highlander. Highlander Copter.
Highlander Copter. I mean, so first of all, with the immense increase in hyper armor, I mean, now he's realistically I can't really think of a hero with more hyper armor.
He's going. Prediction.
He's pretty much.
He'll be really, really good at mid lane in specifically in Dominion. He's gonna be. Because they said 500 MS startup for the first zone hit, right? Which is also now feintable, so that's awesome.
I thought that was wild. Yeah, I haven't seen the zone are there any other zones you can feint before?
Yorms. I think you can do it on Yorms.
Yeah, I guess there are a few. But
but it's rare. Yeah. I genuinely I laughed my ass off when he changed from zone into the into the defensive heavy finisher.
Well, the target switching potential, all of that. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely pretty crazy, and there's a lot of hyper armor now.
Yeah, so
lowering the damage was probably wise.
Yeah, it'll be really neat to see how it performs, and he can defend himself in a team fight now, which is going to be nice. I mean, I've landed some meme kills with the Highlander zone in my time, but legitimately it looks good now. I'm excited to get in. I'm excited to get into a team fight and just start spinning around like an idiot.
Zone into heavy. Into, wait, I'm in offensive stance. Guess what?
Zone into full zone into heavy finisher, feint the heavy finisher into offensive stance, go feint offensive stance into the zone again, then repeat.
Yeah, definitely gonna be a crazy time.
Yeah, that'll be fun. What else did they do in defensive stance?
Okay, so defensive stance, we talked about damage changes. We talked about...
the heavy off guard break.
Heavy off guard break was one I was like, ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because right now, all three sides of the same damage, same speed.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of a comfy place, but I've always liked, technically you're differentiating the moveset even more. Now you've got what was one move from 3 directions is now 2 moves.
Yeah.
And so I think it's pretty cool. I was originally thinking they would just make the zone a better guard break punish that cost less stamina, and that would have been my thought on how they'd fix it, but this works just as well or better. So.
Okay, so...
And top, if you're gonna pick a direction, top
is
the right one, because I can do it without hitting my team.
I am a bit sad you can land defensive stance heavies on light parry now. I don't know why.
I thought it was a cool skill where you were like, okay, have you put at least a minute in Highlander? Learn how to fast flow into. And I was shocked to see in the live stream how many people didn't know that he could do that before. Like, a lot of people, I saw a lot of reactions that were like 27 damage on a light parry. That's a lot. And I'm like, it's currently more than that.
Yeah, it's 30.
His light parry, if you do the defensive, I didn't see all the damage numbers. I don't know if offensive heavies still do the same amount.
Offensive heavies now do 26 damage, which is a change that I'm.
So it's optimal not to do
it, which is something that I think it should be the same damage. If they're going to make the defensive stance heavy possible off of a light parry, it should do the same damage as the offensive stance heavy, or vice versa, because I think that's just gonna fuck with my muscle memory so bad.
It's gonna fuck with my muscle memory, and I thought it was cool, but I will make an argument to the contrary. That is that I think if you're looking at like a health of the game and
100%
reasons for people to pick up and play the hero and all this stuff, Highlander did have a disadvantage that nobody ever really talks about in parrying. It's kind of minor. It's definitely pretty circumstantial, but with other heroes, especially heroes with hyper armor heavies, it's kind of a bonus that if you go for a light parry and maybe they threw a heavy and feinted and they tried to do something else or did whatever and they didn't actually throw that light, your heavy will sail through and maybe they GB or do whatever and you might still get some damage. Worst case scenario, you throw a heavy that you can then maybe feint. With Highlander, if you're going for a light, you have to know if you're going for a zone versus a light parry, right? If there's a fast zone that's 500 ms and a 500 ms light that you're trying to, that you're predicting or think you're going to try and parry, you have to know which one it's going to be. If you think you're going to get a left side light and instead you get an Orochi zone and you've done the fast flow into offensive hold parry, you don't get that.
Right.
There are other things you can feint that into a kick, and then there's a mix-up, and there's other stuff you can do that's really cool, and I thought that was fun. But it was a bit of a downside that if you go for a parry and you're expecting it to be a light, you have to flow into offensive.
Yeah. That's just a quirk of the hero. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's a minor one.
It is a very, very minor complaint.
I thought it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But it was weaker, and so this is a buff.
It is a buff.
His parrying is just better.
Yeah. I am still going to flow into offensive. I'm going to be 100% honest.
You're
I'm still going to do it.
I'm going to show you that I'm an OG Highlander.
Yeah.
You know it's worse damage.
Yeah, by 1. It's not really that big of a deal. It's just gonna be a reflex thing. I'm not even gonna think about it.
I still do the thing where if I kick somebody and instead of if they hit a wall off the kick, instead of just hitting them with the offensive heavy that you get, I'll hit them with the defensive heavy just for the sake of it.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't used to. It used to be better to take your defense's damage on that wall splat, but now it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Or at least in live currently.
Yeah. The damage nerfs, I actually wanted to bring, because a lot of people, I don't know if I've seen this recently, but when I first suggested this, I had a video right after the CCU came out, and where Highlander got his light enhanced or his light sped up, and people were like, oh my god, the animation's so broken. I made a video saying just because the light animation is broken doesn't mean that Highlander's any better in the tier list. I'm just saying so that was the entire video. I was like, he hasn't changed anywhere. He's in the same space. His light's just more usable now, and that's a good thing. Please don't ruin this for us. This is the first bit of attention.
I think I remember that video.
I said in that video that I wanted them to nerf the offensive stance heavy damage further down from they nerfed it to 30, and then I was like, I'm willing to see it go down further because it's unhealthy to be to have 30 damage off of essentially a dodge. And I like when that video came out, there was a little bit of pushback being like, oh, I don't want to play Highlander if he has any lower damage, and it's just like you gotta
remember where we came from before that.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, he did so much.
Oh my god, remember
for years it was the classic
40.
3.
Yeah.
It was that you had 3. You could mess up the offensive stance. You could make the wrong read on the offensive stance mix-up twice. If you did it a third time, you died, no matter what. Even if you took no other damage, that was it. It was the 3-fer, and then
Highlander's
no longer the case.
40 damage offensive stance heavy. I remember that. That was
it was wild.
I remember thinking it was too high when they made that change. I was like, what? 40 damage, huh? That was in season 5. Jesus, I'm old. This is all to say the damage is fine in my opinion. I think that them lowering the damage where they lowered it is mostly okay. I think that the crushing counter being lowered to 18 is a bit but it's like whatever. It's a whole package, right? Where I'm looking at it as a whole. Like if I have to sacrifice 2 damage and my hyper armor on my chain light for the rest of the changes that we get, I'm completely fine with that. Yeah, faintable kick. I've been saying it for years.
Faintable kick is wild.
I've been saying it for years. Most Highlander players have been saying it for years. It's finally happening. Thoughts?
I mean, I kind of like everything else. I ultimately think it's a good thing. It's not what I had imagined in terms of like the look of the gameplay and the feel. Like it's not exactly what I wanted because it makes it more similar to other mix-ups of that variety.
Right.
So that's a little bit of standardization, which is somewhat sad to see, but also ultimately healthy. And so it's kind of one of those things that I'll just say it's probably good, but
yeah. I will say though, like we've been waiting for this change, and I've been complaining about this for so long that characters have come out in the meantime that have used this style of mix-up that you can feint the first part of it. So I think that, like, while that is valid, I think that the to make Highlander's kick feintable argument precedes a lot of the characters that came out afterwards that have this type of feintable bash mix-up. Which is, again, like, it's still a valid, like, concern about standardization. However, it's been around, like, we've been in this boat for a while.
I don't even really think it's a concern. It's more just like an acknowledgement.
Yeah. 100%.
I think it's ultimately a good thing. One thing that I think is like a very, once again, minor tip of the iceberg kind of, I guess, side effect of this change is that the emote no longer does anything. Not that it really did anything before, but the theory of the emote was that you could kind of use it to fake a kick, right? You're not really, it's not the same animation, but it's vaguely similar, and you're wiggling around in front of them in offensive stance.
I always used it to...
if they're waiting for the twitch to dodge that kick, then, it actually did kind of work if you, were creative about it.
It might work. We'll have to play with it. But in my opinion, it might work better. In my opinion, like, it might, like, you could still use the emote to psych people out, and depending on the timing or, like, the animation lock between when you can feint, you might be able to do some animation fuckery with the emote from the kick feint and do something else, maybe. I don't know. Like, what I'm just, like, Highlander's spaghetti, he's always been spaghetti, so I'm thinking about potential more spaghetti that's been introduced. But they did say they cleaned up their inputs, so we'll see. But I'm thinking you might still be able to do some animation fuckery with... Because there's a lot of... you could wig out your sword with the emote a lot.
Oh, yeah. All kinds of crazy stuff. I'm sure that's all still there. I mean, if you're getting into the... I was talking about just kind of standard use of...
Right.
If you still want to wiggle in a circle and shake the Highlander booty and do all the stuff, then I mean, that's all still there.
Yeah,
if you're building that into your mix-up, then I'm pretty sure you can still do it.
Yeah, but like you can make your sword. make your sword with the emote swap to a different side while you're lighting in a different direction. It's really weird. Yeah. Like that, you'll probably still be able to do that, but I'm looking at it like, hey, maybe we can do some more animation fuckery instead of, I don't know. We'll have to see.
I mean, one use is still the tech where you can, disguise
the light, I think.
Right? Well, the guard switch changes.
Right. So yeah.
If I do a left side offensive heavy emote directly into a right side offensive light, it'll disguise that change. That's still all there.
Right.
Thing, so maybe I'll still use it. I don't know. I just see myself fainting that kick a lot more often, being more effective.
Oh yeah. The caber toss roll catch.
Yeah,
I did not see that one coming. So what I thought they were going to do is obviously, I thought Celtic Curse was going to be the roll catch.
Yeah, that was what everybody thought.
And I kind of see why they didn't do that. Like, my idea was you could dodge forward during the kick, and that would cancel you into Celtic Curse. So you could dodge forward. Yeah, so it's like I'm trying to find a move that's comparable. So like, the branch is at 400 ms from kick and the caber. So anywhere from 1 to 400 ms, you could dodge forward and it would cancel the kick, and then it would flow you directly into the forward dodge, and then you could Celtic Curse, which would roll catch. But this is interesting because it doesn't require you to leave offensive stance. So I think that's cool. So if somebody freaks out, if someone freaks out and rolls, you caber toss after them, like, get back here. And it's also really cool because caber toss.
I just think it would have been cool. It might have been even a bigger buff, which would have been maybe not ideal. But if, because they were saying that's essentially a product of them creating dodge into, GB button equals, the caber toss dodge attack, right? That is kind of the replacement of dodge into kick, at least as far as I can tell. It would be cool if that could be changed depending on, the current input of whether you're walking forward or backward.
Oh.
But it would be kind of weird.
That would be very weird,
on a forward dodge. To do like forward dodge into caber would be like a weird input.
That would be like a traditional
walk forward, dodge forward, and then you'd have to switch your walk direction like while you're still moving.
That would be like a traditional fighting game input almost, where it's just like forward, back, X, yeah.
I'm here for it. But, that being said, it's definitely good on the forward dodge. I'd still rather have kicks of it. But
my prediction for how this testing ground is going to go is most stuff is going to go over very well.
Also, does this mean we can't dodge forward into kick anymore?
Yes. It depends on the timing, but yes, I think that is what that means. I'm pretty sure you could dodge forward, delay, kick, but you can't dodge forward.
I wonder how long that delay has to be. But yeah, you can't just dodge forward straight into it.
Yeah, that. Yeah. I'm willing to sacrifice it on to have a roll catch. I'm okay.
For sure. And just to clarify for anybody watching this later, like, these are kind of extreme nitpicks of the situation from people
from like
but it doesn't mean like,
it's bad.
These are still vastly good across the board. Yes, we are nitpicking. Yes, we're aware of
it. Yeah, I mean, I just nitpicking I think is fun because we're both very.
It's not an expression of my overall feelings.
Yeah.
I like to dig into the minutia. Overall, that's like the point of my channel, right?
Exactly.
My guides dig into the micro minutia of how the hero plays.
We're both very technically knowledgeable about the hero, so we understand that some weird things about it might not be translating over, and it's completely fine to point that out, I think. Speaking of little nitty-gritty technical details, did you notice they said this, not only did you notice, they increased the distance offensive stance dodge travels.
I did not hear that.
Yeah, they both said that, and I noticed it before they said it, but I didn't want to, say it while I was watching it, because I thought my stream was going to think I was schizo or something. But yeah, they increased the distance offensive stance dodge travels, which is weird.
I mean, that would be kind of nice
to
sort of just accentuate the value of offensive stance.
And not weird in a bad way. It's weird that they decided to change that, because I personally wouldn't think to change that, but that's why I'm not a game dev on For Honor, I guess.
I wouldn't have thought to.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. But I'm definitely here for it.
Yeah, I'm here for it too. Also, usable run speed, finally. Fuck.
Oh, yeah, I mean, the fact that got changed, and that's like, the fact that there are big enough changes that's not like what we opened with.
Yeah.
And it took us however long it's been.
It's been 40 minutes.
Yeah, like, that's wild.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely fundamental, huge quality of life change that we've all wanted for a bajillion.
And I will dispense more hot takes upon you. I hate testing grounds. And changes like that are why. Because you don't need a testing grounds to tell me that is a good change. I understand it for the rest of the kit. Yeah. I understand it for the rest of the kit, right? But, like, there is zero reason why that couldn't have been implemented 3 years ago. And that's why I dislike testing grounds, because now we're going to wait 9 months to actually see this on the live server. And yeah, I mean, usually, because Lawbringer went through 2 rounds of testing grounds and is now coming out, so it's been 6 months for him.
I don't know if this will be a 2-round situation.
I hope it's not. There's never been a precedent for this, but, like, what I want testing grounds to be is test it, release it next season. Just do something with it. Like, I really don't care if it's busted, because you can always make changes to the live game. Just put it in there. I'm tired of waiting. Like, I've been waiting for 6 years. But I'm really tired of waiting on Highlander changes. Test it, then push it out.
I get it.
But also, like, there's no reason why Highlander sprint speed cannot be changed next week with the patch just in the live server. Like, you can just do that. You don't need to test that. And that's why I feel that testing grounds has become something that I dislike, is because, like, it takes so long to get these changes out. And I understand, like, I know game development is very hard. There's like a million lines of QA you have to do. I understand that there's like a million checklists that you have to go through, but this game is almost 7 years old, Ubisoft. The content drip feed is getting a little bit ridiculous.
Well, with something like this, that you like, it couldn't really possibly do any harm.
Yeah,
I definitely get where you're coming from. For sure.
Yeah, it's like the run speed. Like, that's all I'm on about now. It's just, I understand why they're testing the rest of it.
We've got it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything in case Fate decides to.
Yeah.
The same when it's released, just for having this conversation.
I am very glad they're not removing anything in offensive stance. I was worried they were going to remove the vestigial.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a
feints.
lot of things we just have to find out.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see.
They did say that if they didn't mention it, they didn't change it or remove it.
They did say that.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see, but yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah,
It means if they know about his little tech stuff and the different things, which I'm sure they do.
They do, and
It's not hurting it.
Yeah, JC specifically mentioned that that they didn't want to remove anything from the kit, and the only thing they removed was the hyper armor on the light. That's the only thing they outright removed from the kit.
Yeah.
So I'm optimistic. We'll see when we get our hands on it. Personally, I'm optimistic that most of his tech is still going to be in there.
Great. Yeah, no, definitely a fan of that. I was trying to think about other changes. I'm sure there are probably a couple things that we haven't talked about.
Yeah, I'm trying to rack my brain.
I feel like that more or less covers most of what would be changing. I mean, really, the single most defining thing is the fast flow into offensive stance whenever the hell you want to.
Yeah,
I mean,
completely agree. I think that feint change is huge, and it's like I want that yesterday. Like, that sounds like so much fun.
Very cool.
He's the proper stance switch hero now, which I think is like they kept that identity. I know that word gets thrown around a lot. They kept that.
Does, but I think with Highlander, it's arguably more valid. And
I was about to say that. Yeah.
substantial than with most heroes. It's probably a controversial thing to say, but that being said, I do think Highlander, in terms of moveset identity, had a more, intricate, involved moveset identity than most of us.
Yeah, I know it's like, at this point, it's just two people agreeing with each other. But like, I do agree. Like, I feel like, I sincerely feel that like Highlander's kit has something special about it, and the identity of its kit is why people have played this hero for so long, and why it has a sort of like cult around it, and not like it's not like the Lawbringer cult. Like I'll make fun of Lawbringer.
Lawbringer does have a similar thing though. Like it's less about the moveset though, and most will admit that. Like the whole Lawbringer thing, it's not that like I mean, I'm going out on a limb here. I'm not a Lawbringer player. Please don't crucify me. But I think generally it has more to do with the persona and the attitude and the
You're right.
and the different things of the hero than it has to do with his moveset just being that cool.
Yeah.
And intricate and, detailed. I that's my personal take on the situation. Whereas with Highlander, I think Highlander players were like, yeah, Highlander's cool. Big Scotsman, big sword, whatever. But our fashion's not that crazy. Like, it was never really about that. It was about the dance, as it were.
Yeah.
And it sounds silly, but you put enough Highlander time in the Highlander, it starts to feel that way. The fact that you can still... I mean, I have Rep 70'd Highlander over 3 times. Played on Rep 70 accounts from there.
Yeah.
Many times, many hours, and yet I still get a little bit better every time I play him.
Yeah. Oh God, that's just
gonna stay that way, I think.
Yeah, I'm just like cringing at how bad I'm gonna be when I come back next week.
Well, and I think what's cool is if this goes the way that I predict it might, some of that tech we were talking about, what I would call a stam switch and wave switch, these things, I think could get even more valuable if that delay is still there. Because if I can, for example, right now, instead of like, okay, I go from my second defensive light chain into offensive stance and then wave switch out to catch a parry, I can do it. I can throw an offensive heavy, feint back into offensive, wave switch out, and parry an immediate light that's trying to interrupt anything there. Like, it might just double the amount of situations that I can bait exit offensive stance for a light parry. Like, that's just cool.
Yeah, I complete agreement.
Yeah, but it might,
Yeah.
I'm surprised that you didn't like that. It's just interesting to hear that you didn't like the Highlander mirrors, because man, I like lived for Highlander mirrors.
Yeah,
Did you know I made a 5-hour duel video?
I saw it. I was. That's the first video of yours. I was like, I'm not watching that. I'm sorry.
You're like, why would he do that? What's funny is that I almost bricked a laptop doing it.
Oh, jeez.
I had this like, I have an old. It was, what is it? It's 2013 MacBook Pro. Or something. It was pretty decked out for the time, but 5 hours.
That thing was.
It's not super high quality footage. That was back when I was on Xbox One, but like.
Wow.
It was I almost killed my laptop making that. It took like
that thing was coughing. It was crying for help when it was trying to render that thing. Yeah. It was crying.
Yeah, that's some old game.
Does it still work? The MacBook?
That laptop?
Yeah.
It does, with the exception of the battery. Everything's great about it, but I need to put a whole new battery in it, because the battery at this point won't even like hold enough charge to run while plugged in.
But now I'm on my good old rig that served me well for 5 years now. So
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with my rig right now. Like, it's not super updated. I, got a new GPU when the 30 series came out, but other than that, I haven't really touched it in a while, and for what I played, does pretty well. More than enough for honor.
Yeah. I'm still rocking a 1660 Ti.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. That's a great card. Like, it still holds up. I'm running Baldur's Gate on Ultra, so it's like it's a wonderful card.
How are you liking Baldur's Gate?
I finished it once. I'm on my second playthrough. I'm playing a Dragonborn Paladin now.
I'm a Dragonborn Barbarian.
Nice. The Dragonborn looks so cool in the game. I wasn't
planning on making a Dragonborn at all. to the character creation screen and just decided to look at it. And I was like, oh. That's way cooler than I thought it was.
Yeah, they're wicked. They look so neat.
Paladin's a strong choice for it.
Yeah, they it's in I did in a single turn like 120 damage on a single attack because I crit and then Divine Smite, and then it rolled max damage on Divine Smite, and it was just like, okay, well, that guy's dead.
Yeah, I wasn't interested in Cleric at the start of the game, but I think just kind of random chance and a little bit of, just trying to make a decent build, but my Shadowheart is, like, untouchable.
Oh, she's insane.
And, for folks who haven't played the game, this is, like, a very, very minor spoiler. Not really a spoiler, but there's a section where you have to, kind of fight against a Mimic version of your own team.
Yeah, I just did that fight.
I iced my whole team. Except for fucking Shadowheart.
Yeah.
And then Shadowheart, there's like 3 or 4 of us, and it goes on like another 4 or 5 turns. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
I can't hit her.
I can't kill my own Shadowheart? And she's just absolutely out of control. That was just kind of a mixture of gear.
Mine has like 25 AC now.
Yeah.
She's
you can make her really pretty nuts.
But anyway, yeah, I think now that I have an hour-long recording, I probably should have split this at some point, but,
Yeah, no, you're good. I mean, I'll make a video and edit some stuff together and put it over something, but, I appreciate you sitting down and talking to me about things.
Yeah, you were one of...
Pretty much see eye to eye on
Yeah.
all of it, which, I mean, I'm excited to get my hands on it and to see how it really feels,
Yeah.
but I'm optimistic and I think it's cool, and so if you want to, if you want to be doing stuff together around release time,
that's another thing.
I'm going to try and make it a priority. I do have to work during, Thursday, Friday days, but the evenings I can try and set aside to do some For Honor and maybe make some testing ground recordings with some other longtime Highlanders.
Yeah, that was my plan. You were one of 3 people that I initially thought of. I was trying to be like, I'm sure Fiend wants to get in on this. I'm going to reach out to Hound, and I'm going to see if I can contact Oma to see if they want to come back. That would be sick, but like...
That would be super cool, and if it doesn't end up going that way, there's tons and
there's tons
folks who would love to be doing that with us.
Yeah, so your Discord server probably has like a dozen people that we could call on to make a Highlander video. So,
we can resurrect Vulture.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
I thought about Musculus too, because he used to comment my videos all the time.
Lots of folks.
Yeah, but anyway.
Around and who's playing?
Yeah. Well,
Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, nice talking to you.
Yeah, very nice.
We've kind of always been in the same circles, but we've never really stopped and chatted like this.
Yeah.
Way, so.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I've never...
It's
just weird I've never, like, talked to... even though, like, we literally are occupying, like, kind of the same niche.
I know.
But I was like, literally one of the first 3 people I thought of, I'm like, let's talk to Fiend. I know he's still active. So, but yeah. This will probably take me, like... I don't know. My editing motivation
is... It doesn't really matter because the thing happens Thursday. It might make sense. Maybe we can coordinate a release or something.
Yeah.
But it might make sense to, not do it now, but release it like a day or 2 before the testing grounds.
Yeah, definitely before the testing grounds, because I don't want to be like...
For sure.
I don't want to have, like, all of our speculation immediately, like... erased because everything we were concerned about was not a thing, or vice versa. But yeah, like maybe on Monday or something. Yeah.
Monday or Tuesday would be good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll sit for that.
Anyway, yeah. Super nice talking to you, man. I'll see you on Thursday, Friday, any of the testing grounds weeks. But let me know when your vid goes live. I'll make sure to watch it. I'll edit mine too.
Sure.
And yeah.
You've got to get me a clip for our next montage. You too, buddy. We'll
also don't, if you like reach a part in the game where you're like, oh fuck, I gotta talk to somebody about that. I finished it, so go ahead. Like if you need to talk.
Yeah, that's good to know because a lot of the folks I'm playing are just like, or a lot of the folks I know who are playing it either don't have a ton of time or just savoring it super slowly and are not as far as I am, and so that is good. I'll definitely do that.
100%. All right, well, see you later, man. Thanks for talking.
You too, buddy. Talk to you next time.